For more on this, let's bring in Peter Morici, former chief economist for the U.S. International Trade Commission and business professor at the University of Maryland. So where do we go now, Peter? The president says he's going to issue 15% tariffs for basically everybody. The Supreme Court struck down the last round of tariffs. Where do we go? What happens?
Well, we have two tracks. One is the refunds. The question is, how much refunds will there be on the tariffs that were struck down? But going forward, I mean, tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, people are going to be paying 15% extra to get into the country. It's perfectly legal, and he can do it for 150 days as an emergency. And after that, he can let them lapse for a day and declare another emergency. The net effect on fiscal policy across this period of time would be negligible. I mean, the old tariffs raised the rate to 16%. This will raise the average tariff rate to perhaps 14%.
Justice Kavanaugh is one of the president's heroes right now because he dissented with that 6-4 decision of the Supreme Court, 6-3 decision, I should say. He writes this. He says, the interim effects of the court's decision could be substantial. The United States may be required to refund billions of dollars to importers who pay the IEEPA tariffs. And even though some importers may have already passed on costs to consumers or others, as was acknowledged at oral argument, the refund process is likely to be a mess. Interesting to me, I'm not a lawyer, but that decision, that ruling seems to, or his opinion, I should say, seems to have more to do with just the mechanics of refunds rather than the law.
No, the mechanics are easy. The customs people know exactly who paid the duties, and they can refund the people who paid the duties. Now, whether they passed along the costs to consumers and those folks don't get any money back is another issue. The question here is, does the administration resist this and cause all these little importers across the country to fight it out in court? That's a very different thing. And again, the court could just say, refund the duties. This goes on all the time. We refund lots of duties. So Justice Kavanaugh should become familiar with the mechanics, the potential mechanics of the process.
Kevin Hassett is the president's National Economic Council director. He says that they were kind of halfway ready for this. Listen.
President Trump told us from the beginning that we had to have a backup plan and a backup plan for the backup plan in case the Supreme Court ruled against his first try of doing it with IEEPA, which is a completely defensible way to do it, by the way. And so isn't it wonderful to think about how well organized he is, that the same day that we get the Supreme Court ruling, we come out with a backup plan that's just as good.
So he says it's just as good. Do you think there's going to be much of an effect on the U.S. economy from these 15% tariffs?
Well, the big effect is the uncertainty going forward as to exactly what happens. I point out that he probably has authority to continue with China, except for the fentanyl tariffs, because there was an investigation with regard to China during his first term. Joe Biden rented that authority to impose tariffs on electric vehicles. My feeling is he probably can do just about whatever he wants with China. For the rest of the world, he's stuck with these 15% tariffs. Well organized. Well, gee whiz, on one day it's 10%. He gets up the next morning, it's 15%. We have these hundreds and hundreds of investigations going on. Mr. Hassett has a way of painting things in a way that probably doesn't fit with the reality the rest of the economics profession perceives. Now, either he has a vision the rest of us don't have, or the rest of us are, stilted or cockeyed or whatever.
Yeah, I want to put up a map of some of the agreements that the United States has made outside of the president's previous, tariff plan, the IEEPA, as was said. Most of Europe, India, Cambodia, Vietnam, Japan, those countries have all signed agreements with the U.S., notably not China. This could be to China's detriment, wouldn't you agree?
Well, I think that China's going to have to put up with whatever Donald Trump puts in place. But then again, Donald Trump may have to put up with whatever the retaliation the Chinese want to impose. For example, they could embargo rare earth minerals again. We're pretty much in the same place we were before with China. This is a staring game between President Xi and President Trump. And right now, President Xi has very strong cards because of the rare earth minerals thing. So I'm interested to see how he's going to handle China. The other agreements, they can hold because most of them had top tariffs of 10 or 15%. And so he basically is going to make everybody pay 15%. Most countries will put up with that simply because of the other concessions the United States has made.
Of course, the U.S. sort of let China corner the market on rare earth mineral processing. We have our own supplies. It's just not easy to develop that quickly, right?
Well, that's true. The thing is I would point out that this has been bungled by several presidents in a row. You know, President Obama, President Trump 1, President Biden. I mean, we should have seen this coming, but there's a lot of things that Washington doesn't do very well when it comes to long-term planning.
Yeah.
And this is a classic example.
Yeah. The Chinese think in centuries, and we think in terms of the next election cycle. Peter Morici, good to talk to you. Thank you, Peter.
Have a good weekend. Thank you very much.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.